Okay, so last year we reviewed the Insta360 Go 3, which was their newest action camera at the time. And at that time, our channel wasn't really that big. I'm gonna be honest, our channel really isn't that big now. So our review last year was not sponsored, it was not biased, it was not paid, and nothing was sent out to us. So that review really gave us a chance to see what it was really like to use that camera. And we came to mainly 3 conclusions of where this camera really shines. Number 1 is just using it as an on-the-fly POV action camera, whether it's just on your chest or on that head clip mount. And number 2, where it really shined, was in daytime specifically, or in daylight or really well-lit situations. It really fell apart in low light, whether that was indoor low light or even being outside when it got even just a little bit dark. And then the third thing, a really big perk of this was its size and being able to get those unique shots like inside of a shoe or at the bottom of a drinking glass where you could not fit a traditional action camera inside because of its size. So size and form factor was also where this shines. Now there's a new player in town, a bit of an upgraded version here, which is the Insta360 Go 3S. Now this one touts it being able to record in 4K, a little bit better in the low light situations, and some other cool perks like being able to record in 4K in all the modes instead of just one mode. And let's go ahead and go out into the real world, test this, see if the low light actually is a little bit better, and see if it's actually worth upgrading if you already have the Insta360 Go 3. So let's go ahead and check that out. Okay, so this is a microphone test of the camera sitting on my chest, walking by the water. You could probably see the cruise ship right in front of me. Not too much wind, but there is a little bit, so you might hear some of that noise. Just want to see how it sounds with all the outside environments. I got like crickets or cicadas, a little bit of wind, some water here as well. So interested to see how well it's able to pick up my voice with this quote unquote improved microphone, right? And there you have it. That is a full day's vlog of the Insta360 Go 3S. So what are my initial thoughts? Well, a few points here. So number one, first and foremost, and probably the most obvious, is the visual quality has improved. The 4K actually does make a pretty noticeable difference, jumped up from that 2.7K. Again, it does really well in well-lit daylight conditions. That was never an issue even with the previous iteration. It still looked great in daylight conditions, even with the Insta360 Go 3. Now, what really more so impressed me was the dim light and the low light conditions. Very specifically, if you look at this shot of the train where there's not too much light, even though it kind of looks like it, the noise is reduced by quite a significant margin. Also, for an example, when I'm in the arcade, yes, whilst you can see noise, if you look more towards the upper area of the shot here, it's not as much as it would be on the Insta360 Go 3, where that footage would, in my opinion, almost be unusable. I also like how clear it looks in the indoor shots, like when I was food shopping at the supermarket, or even when I was driving in my car. Something that I did notice aside from the visual quality though, is the microphone quality. Whilst Insta360 says it has improved microphone quality, I actually think overall that the microphone quality is somewhere relatively around the same. I don't see too much of a difference, and if you're just going to ask the average consumer, I don't think they would be able to tell much of a difference either. One thing that I did notice that no one has ever pointed out online is that the microphone actually makes your voice a little bit deeper than what it is in real life. And that can be great if you have a really high voice and want to naturally deepen your voice. But listen to what my voice sounds like now, and if you listen back to the Insta360's microphone quality replay, you'll notice that my voice is a little bit deeper. And I'll tell you what, I'll do actually a live test with the camera right now and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, 3, 2, 1, hit record. This is a microphone test of the Insta360 Go 3S. Can you tell the difference between my regular lavalier mic, which probably makes my voice sound more true to life, as opposed to how it sounds on the action camera where my voice sounds a little bit lower? This is a microphone test of the Insta360 Go 3S. Can you tell the difference between my regular lavalier mic, which probably makes my voice sound more true to life, as opposed to how it sounds on the action camera where my voice sounds a little bit lower? And there you go. You should notice a pretty significant difference. I don't know why it makes my voice sound like this, but it's just how it is for whatever reason. If you're not comparing it with another camera, then you're probably not going to notice the difference if this is the only camera that you're using. But if you're mixing in shots with other cameras, like I do, I take my DSLR and the Insta360 Go 3S and my DJI Osmo Pocket 3, you can notice a big difference when I'm recording on my DJI and my DSLR versus the Insta360 Go 3. Which is why, at least in my use case for this specific camera, it's probably best for me if I just don't speak and just use it as a POV camera on my chest, like what you saw for the most part in the replays. Another thing that I really did enjoy about this camera was the new addition of the horizon lock, where if you look at the shot of the beach, it's pretty much level for the most part, and not too tilted in one way or another. I also really enjoy the new Mega View, which almost introduces like an ultra-wide frame, but just without that very noticeable level of distortion out of these sides as well. So, and I recorded the majority, if not pretty much almost every single shot inside of that Mega View, so you can really take a look at what that looks like. One thing though that was quite disappointing to me was the slow motion. Now, if you're willing to do slow motion at 60 frames per second, sure, it can do 4K. But if you're one of those that wants to go above 100 frames per second, slow motion is still only offered at 2.7K at 100 frames per second, and then 1080p for anything else. My personal recommendation, I would go the lowest 2.7K for slow motion. Now let's switch over to the topic of stabilization mode inside this camera. It is not great. I had to set the stabilization to maximum, and even with maximum, you still notice that significant bounce because it was sitting on my chest. It just did not look good in the regular or the low stabilization. So for me to you, as some advice, I would, even though it's a little bit cropped, I understand, I would set your stabilization to maximum for the smoothest ability to get those shots, especially if you're walking. All in all, would I recommend the Insta360 Go 3S if you already have the Insta360 Go 3? If this is a camera that you use every single day, all the time, then yes, I actually do believe it is worth the upgrade. Now, if this is just like a backup camera, a POV camera that you use for side shots in your videos, and you have another main camera like a DSLR, or for me, I mainly use the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 for vlogging, then no. I would actually wait for the next generation, which is, you know, the Go 4. I don't feel like it's a necessary upgrade if this is just like a backup camera or a side camera that you use for some footage here and there, because in this day and age, especially in social media, 2.7K is still honestly more than good enough. All right. Those are my thoughts on the Insta360 Go 3S. I hope this helped you make a buying decision, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below in the comments. We'll be more than happy to answer any of those. Drop a like, subscribe if you like it, and again, we will see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves. Okay, bye.